Court of Appeal has gotten 80,000 cases which have not been handled. That's Court of Appeal. And they only have 20 judges. A decision comes out, but the person dies on Sunday in prison. Judgment is not yet out.
Most of you know him as Justice Hunter.
So they forward the matter or refer it
to
the industrial court, which is the only court that tries labor disputes. First, we shall rule by force in contrary to the law, and we want the general court martial to be in existence.
Hello and welcome back to Afro Liberty Talks, our episode 4. And today we are going to discuss an interesting topic, especially to you who want to have legal knowledge or the legal basis of what is happening in society in Africa and especially here in Uganda. Now, one of the principles of liberty that we are going to be talking about is the rule of law. Good thing we have an expert in law, and is a lawyer, a high court advocate, and of course a justice activist. So we are going to be looking at issues to do with justice and current affairs, but then he's going to help us, give us the legal perspective of things on the look of the current matters that are happening in Uganda. My name is George Justice Kanyehamba, and I'm your host, and today we are looking at the issue of delayed justice in Uganda. From the issue of the delayed of justice in Uganda, we are also going to look at the trial of civilians in the military courts. We are also going to look at currently the political prisoners who are still in prison, yet we are preparing and gearing up for the 2026 general election. Of course, the election, we cannot fail to talk about it. How prepared are we, and what are the legal steps or preparation we should do as a country? Now with me today, I have Katushabe, Ronald politician, who is an advocate of the High Court and an activist of justice. Most of you know him as Justice Hunter. I know when I shared with you one of the video when he was trying to advocate for justice, and you asked me a lot of questions. What happened to him? Why was he demonstrating? How does he take the opinion of the delayed of justice in Uganda? What was he doing? Why did the parliament police arrest him? All these things we are going to be actually looking at them, because we are going to hear from the host's mouth. So Katushabe, welcome to the show.
Okay, thank you so much, George. I'm extremely humbled to the viewers. My name is Katushabe Ronald, and I'm an activist in the field of justice. Something that I do really feel, so much encouraged whenever I'm in it. There is one thing people can always know, that you can always have the guts to slap or kill a fly when you have a wound you're protecting. And if anyone has been in the situation where you have a victim of injustice, you are a victim of injustice, you have had people, you have been in that situation, it is something you do not need to sleep on. You have to come stand for that justice. And like my brother Giorgio said, I have for several times participated in demonstrations, and why these arrests come in is that when we normally go by own means of documents, writing, waiting to proceed in courts of law, at times our voices are not heard. They only listen to that kind of action that we do portray. And regardless we do portray it, there are still hands of limitation they do extend to us and interfere in the same. That your right to demonstrate towards the dissatisfaction of what is being conducted, they say that you're not entitled to it. They have set a lot of obstructions. So we have by all means to maintain, to keep consistent, to demand for the cause of justice. Why? I'm telling you that 10,000 cases plus are in courts of law. They have been delayed. Court of Appeal has gotten 80,000 cases which have not been handled. That's Court of Appeal. And they only have 20 judges. Even though you say that every day they hear one case and give a judgment, which is not possible. They cannot get done with the case backlog. Eh? Now, we look at the issues of prisons. What I tell you is that like a prison like Luzira Upper is supposed to be hosting 640 plus prisoners, but they have 3,020 plus prisoners. Makshoni Bay has the same number. Go to Nakasongora prison. If it was supposed to have 500 prisoners, it has 1,000. Jinja Main Kirinya prison, it also has the same issue. In 3,000, supposed to be handling numbers of 500, 600. Jinja remand any prison. Those are the issues. Now, people who have heard their cases who have not been tried, you find it's a year a person has been in a prison for about 4 years. This person was committed to the High Court, say, but they have not been tried. The issue behind it is that why are they not being tried? That the issues of case backlog, issues of infrastructure, understaffed judicial officers. So there is all over those issues. And the problems come internally within the system of governance. So in the end, these people, what they tell us when you go there as their lawyers, they say, I would like to enter plea bargain. Plea bargain is where a person voluntarily agree that I committed this offense, let us agree on what kind of sentence you should give me as state. So a person going to that stage and they did commit the offense, I tell them, no, you are not guilty. You don't need to plead the guilty to this offense you didn't commit. Then he tells me, but Ronald, you're a lawyer. I have been in prison for 4 years. My relatives, none of the person knows where I am. At least when I enter into plea bargain, I'm given a sentence and there is a remission. Maybe 5 years I can have a chance to go home. So you see that where we are going on, people sell their innocence because of the failed system of justice. Court of Appeal, like I told you, the many cases they have. They have people who appealed around 2015, 2018. Their cases have not been heard. There are people we have seen, a person appealed against a sentence of 7 years. By the time he is listed for hearing, the case has already been heard. If not, if the person is not heard, there are those who die before the case is heard. And when judgment is delivered, you find the person is innocent. We had a scenario where it was called, is it Yasin Solinjoji? The man died on Sunday, an appeal was earlier on filed, then a decision comes out. But the person dies on Sunday in a prison. Judgment is not yet out. So it is even very hard to convince the relatives or friends around that this person, because they want to deliver judgment, that this person did commit the offense actually. That this person committed the offense, I beg your pardon. But the reality is you're trying to avoid the pressure. The fear of the public, what would the public say for many times, that this person was innocent and they died in prison, minus us hearing the appeal. So there is a very, very great challenging system in the issue of the law of justice here in our state. Not only in criminal matters, civil matters, land, the person says, by the time I wait, I can as well develop another land for the case I'm filing for. Employment, we have had issues. The industrial court has been one in Uganda, and it was here in Ntinda, the whole of Uganda.
What does that do?
Industrial court is the only court which handles cases of labor disputes. That I was employed by George. George fired me from my job, minus a notice. There was no justice, no hearing. So I go to a labor officer. Labor officer is like, no, we cannot handle the matter, yes. So they forward the matter or refer it to the industrial court, which is the only court that tries labor disputes. So you find that it has only been the only court in Uganda.
So is it possible to have like industrial court on a regional level?
They have
maybe
just
Western?
established it at the regional level, but you still look at the issue of the case backlog they have, because the strict standard is that whenever it's a labor matter, it has to strictly go to the industrial court. So there is a lot of dilemma. You say a person tells you, but why do I waste my time? Let me not go further with this. And you know what results in? Mob justice. People say, I can deal with George by fighting. I get this guy in the night, here the guy killed one another. Because the importance of courts or law, punishment, comes in to cure what we call hunger, to avoid the perspective of revenge. I shouldn't say, because suspicions are there that maybe George killed my brother. I go and kill George. In the position of killing George, you even find someone who's trying to stop you, you also kill them. So you see that in just a joking situation, something not taken serious, 4 people have lost their lives. So the issue is, it was aimed at curbing revenge, creating a cure for the other person. They also get satisfied, contented. Oh my God, so the person has been given 20 years, I'm at least now satisfied.
On the same matter, don't you think that the labor officers at district level can handle all the labor cases in that district? Or legally, how is it supposed to be?
The position, the challenge is on the position of the law. You see that the quorum of the court, the industrial court, is that there has to be panelists and there has to be a judge. Panelists are normally always 4 and the judge. So, which is how it constitutes at the labor court standard. 2, that the limitations of the duties in the Employment Act, that what the labor officer is strictly to assign is to listen to complaints and encourage reconciliation by that state.
If people
That
don't reconcile,
if they don't reconcile, that's why it's at a position of referring it. So the position is, how has reconciliation always pertained? The other challenge has been interference of corruption and the political interference. That before even this reconciliation is made, you find it's a matter of the district. This person is known to the person complaining, maybe the person was an MP, and the thing is influenced. But here the fear of the court stakeholders and it being on record, how the person can as well appear and cause the same challenges. That's why they fear that maybe the tendency and the eyes of justice are so much stringent.
On the same matter of having big people or people who have leadership positions, who have influence, who are connected to leaders, do you think someone who is not connected can win someone who is not connected as such? Because you said that now on the district level it's not possible. So if they are already connected and you push them to industrial courts, you believe they can still get justice? Because
don't make it final. I didn't say totally it's not possible. I said chances are high that most people do fail there. So yes, there are cases where people who are not connected have really won. And maybe, but that one also happens in the line of the other perspective. There is a responsible person, a company, which would fear that how can a person like me be dragged to court? Because of the name I have towards my customers. So because I have that fear, let us enter the reconciliation and we have it. There are those ones who have gone ahead. I have seen scenarios where they say, I will kill you and even kill your family members. So those people always interfere. The labor officer is threatened and even this other person. And the challenge is that most labor disputes, these people are always poor because you've been fired from your job. You even do not have money that can afford a lawyer. So these matters, when they say you refer, this matter is referred, these people stop there. They do not have money to pay lawyers to file documents.
So to help us give us a legal perspective, for us to build now the basics of this discussion, when we mention the rule of law, and maybe the rule of law is one of the principles of liberty or the principles of a free society, what do we mean when we say rule of law? Because some people will be like, there's even the rule by law.
Oh yeah. Now what we mean by rule of law
in a free society?
In a free society, we entirely mean doing things in accordance to the law. And in that way, you have to put into consideration the three elements of rule of law. That one, presumption of innocence. Until proved guilty unless you have pleaded so.
That is one, presumption of innocence.
Yeah, meaning that you have to look at me with eyes that I'm totally innocent, I'm entitled to that side of hearing. You go via the hands of proving that entirely maybe I committed this offense, or if it is a civil action against me, I'm liable for the loss you suffered. Unless if I say no, it's okay, I'm guilty for this. The other one is that equality before the law. That, and that's why when you look at even our constitution, that primary cause, that equality, Article 21 of our constitution, that everyone is equal before the law. It shouldn't be that George maybe is a prime minister, because there is a matter George is saying, you attacked my son, we should first give time to George. We should first, if it is a speedy hearing, it should be equated to all of us. If we are going to a public fair hearing, it should be we are all sitting here, you are an accused, standing the dock as an accused, and I appear as a complainant. There shouldn't be any special treatment granted to you because you own a certain big office that can interfere with judicial officers or can cause kind of impunity amidst the trial.
The third one?
The third one is that we are all subject of the law, that everyone is subordinate, subject to that law, which means I can't say, I'll give an example, if they are saying that you are not supposed to drive in this kind of direction, those are the traffic laws, and because for you, you think you're somewhere on the top, then you just move somehow.
That is happening.
So, and that's why I'm saying that.
See the cars which don't have a right.
You see, you asked me about rule by law. It's where I'm going to go. Where rule by law now comes in. So that's the issue. But the point of rule of being all of us subject to the law is that no one should say, now this scenario has come in, I'm not subject to this. No, you won't create mere statutes from down and put them on top of the constitution to stand supreme. Should be, if it is subordinate means you are all under this. So whatever presentation is that we are all under this law.
Yes, so now that we've had the ideal meaning of rule of law, how things are supposed to be, let's now be sincere to what is happening in Uganda. You as a lawyer, you can give us the legal perspective. Do you think we have the rule of law in Uganda, considering the aspects you are talking about, being subordinate to the law, equality before the law, and the presumption of innocence?
On the generic observation, I would say, in Uganda, rule of law is observed at only 90%. Sorry,
90%.
10%. Meaning the whole 90% rule of law has totally failed. So in Uganda, we only have rule of law at 10%. And even in certain institutions, like when I tell you that when you go to prison, I really respect that prison has at some extent tried to respect the rule of law. Rule of law should go hand in hand with morality. That when I go, I have come to visit a prisoner, I file in their money is kept well, it is available to them for their welfare.
So they don't have that habit of stealing?
No, it is to some prisons, but most of them have really obliged to the same. Your accessibility, there is that kind of respect that if we have a person to produce them to the courts of law, we should rush. They have tried their best. I can say prison has tried, but there is a few of them.
What is your say about the people who are actually having medical conditions, who are ill, but then instead of the judge sending them to hospital for treatment, they rather take them to prison, and they say we have hospitals in the prison.
Yeah, you see.
For example, the recent one of Eddie Mutwe, the bodyguard of Robert Chagulanyi.
Yes, the matter that was being handled in Masaka court. where
And
the
even
hearing.
those of Sekirinya, it happened.
Yeah, now you see the challenge that has always happened is that the procedure of also getting the medical report to be treated outside. You see, if it is your first time, because like if it is your first time to be produced to this court, say I've just been arrested here and taken to police cells, that now there to prove that you have medical conditions that are unhealthy for you and you need medical attention swiftly, you can produce medical documents. I have a medical report from Rego. Upon arrest, I was just from there. Because and then the court can as well go ahead and grant you bail and you attend your treatment outside. Now, in situations where you're already in a prison, like the Segrinya's issue, you have to apply for a medical report to prisons, whereby the procedure is that your lawyer, maybe you or another person, you can write to the Commissioner General of Prisons requesting that they instruct that your medical examine, that your health conditions are not good, that you're looking at situations one, maybe you want to advance on your feeding styles, or you are as well interested in applying for bail, and you go outside and attain better treatment. Now, this medical report in its conclusion, it has to be having the following: that if it is maybe Katushabe, that Katushabe Ronald medical conditions are not favorable. Following the discussion above, maybe he's suffering from lung cancer, and the situation here is worse. Prison is not in a position to handle. All prison is out of drugs to handle. But if it says prison, if the person is under treatment, it's hard to get that bail, because it is entirely showing that prisons can still go on and treat you.
Is there any particular case where it happened?
Yes, I have many cases. There is a case of, you can read the case of Rajiv Kumar versus Uganda. It's an bail application just of 2023. There is another case of Kunsa versus Uganda. Also, it's another bail application.
Is there any related to political, this political?
No, that's not the way the challenge comes in, George. I have not had a political case where they say that a medical report is issued to a politician. It's literally hard. I have not had it.
In any way, the political prisoners are different from the civilians.
I think, like we told you, the issue of political interference and the fear of what may come out if we are issuing it to politicians. Because all bail applications, let us look at the key politicians and how they have always been granted bail. That they have looked at other circumstances. Normally what we look at the grounds or what they consider in granting bail. They have looked at issues like substantial sureties, issues of fixed place of abode, meaning where you come from, you have a place where you stay, the nature of the offense, you have not committed this offense for several times. But for a medical report, because we have a case of Dr. Kano Kiza Besigye versus Uganda, a bail application, there was no issue. Regardless, the conclusion was that he's not a threat still when he goes out as a public figure. And the opposition presentations from the prosecution or state were that he would be threat to the public. So that was the challenge. There's a bail application we look at is for this king of Kasese, Mumbere. Charles Mumbere filed a bail application that was Charles Mumbere versus Uganda bail application, criminal application number 75 of 2016. The consideration as well, the opposition of state was that his rallies could interfere with investigation, it being a public figure. And the requirement also from the lawyer defending him was that there was no presentation of an affidavit that this person could as well interfere. But the conditions are, when these people are inside where they were sick, this has been sick, but it is hard to get a medical report. As it is also hard to say that you get a certificate of no objection from the DPP. The DPP should be saying, maybe we even don't have evidence on this person, you can go ahead and grant bail. But the current DPP issuing a certificate of no objection to grant you bail is literally hard. It's like asking a dog to give you a bone.
So what is the certificate of no objection about briefly?
Certificate of no objection is that when I apply for bail, the DPP or any officer from the Director of Public Prosecution, whereby the officers can be state attorneys or those are prosecutors, they in reply say we do not oppose. They have a certificate, they grant to court, we do not object to the grant of this bail. But in these scenarios, I have not had a case where a politician, they are issuing a certificate of no objection. Okay. So that also shows that the DPP's independence on operation of their work is highly questionable.
All right, so talking about the issue of now the bail, political prisoners, and also talking about them recommending them for further treatment. I've seen you on the part of Dr. Kizabesigye legal team, and those of the Honorable Martha Karua and the Honorable Elias Lukwago. So can you briefly give us an update, because I see the lawyers no longer come to give us what's happening, and also the legality of his arrest in Kenya. You can try to give us as a lawyer, what should the public know about that case?
Okay, thank you so much. The truth behind the curtains is that Dr. Kizabesigye and Haji Obed were illegally arrested. Illegally arrested, take it from me. Reason being, one, the offences ongoing are in line to unlawful possessions of ammunition, weapons.
It is alleged, or they found them. They have evidence.
It is an allegation. Okay. If there was evidence, hearing should have been ongoing.
But there are some videos which were, I don't know if it was edited, some audios.
Thank you so much. Now, you're even helping me. No, you're helping me. That when you just show a video that Katushabe Ronald was killing, that's not conclusive. It goes via tests in court. And while in trial, maybe subjecting to examination in chief, where you're asked questions by the person presenting in court as a prosecutor, the other way around, like in such a case, and cross-examination to the defense lawyers. So for Dr. Kano Kizabesigye in this scenario, to ask who is the producer of these videos, when were they recorded, what nature of gadget did you use to record the same? Via these testings, how long have you done it? Because these are forgeries. We are much aware how people are doing things on TikTok. You find entirely clip, and they tell you this player is already training in Manchester United, but actually there are even no discussions with this footballer. He's still in their team, maybe. If it is Gochales, he's still in Sporting Lisbon. So there is a test of that. Now, still back to my point is the arrest of Dr. Kano Kizabesigye. He was arrested in Kenya on allegations of weapons. It should have been the government of Kenya to say, we complain against Dr. Kizabesigye being here without these gadgets. And the killer question via an ordinary person would be, how did he get past via the airport with the guns? Why didn't you check him? Because the issue would be, maybe if you were saying that you have evidence he's at the border terrorizing Uganda and you are charging him terrorism, he's fighting via the borders. But there is nothing like that. And you also put it, what I call juxtaposing with the previous case of the other people, the 30 that were arrested still in Kisumu, still people members of PFF. They of recent they are finding out that there is no offense against them. You see that those issues that are ongoing. So the issue is, we should say it is political influence, political interference, and that's why you see entirely that the illegality is all over.
Dr. Besigye has a big legal team, you inclusive. Are you saying that they can actually not, if he has no case to answer, why is he still in prison? Why is he still in the prison?
Okay, why Dr. Kizabesigye is still in prison? Like I told you, George, he's in prison on the command of state. We are under burden of rule by law. when the Supreme Court had just delivered its judgment, it was very much clear that civilians that are appearing before the said military tribunal by then, I call it a disciplinary committee for military officers, not a general court martial, they should swiftly, their affairs should swiftly be transferred to civil courts. So it means in the alternative, if you have not transferred this person beyond the 48 hours, you should automatically release them. Now, the worry when we moved to the Commissioner General of Prisons as the team of lawyers was, how do you have Besigye in prison? He was not there as a remandee, him and Haji Obedi. He was not there as a convict. So you mean he was like a lodger? A lodger is that person who is in prison, they have nowhere to sleep. There are those people that even discharge and say, for me I'm not going anywhere, let me stay there. So the question was, how was Besigye in a prison? So that shows that the state was it. We moved to the Attorney General. So can you please, all arrests, conduct, have files transferred and charges are instituted against him? That was not there. Now the other question is, charges have to be instituted by police that arrested him. The file is forwarded to the state attorney for perusal. He or she can direct or DPP that the file can be sanctioned to court for trial. Now, the question is, the General Court Martial, the alleged one, as I hear, military tribunal, it was the one which went ahead, arrested, did the investigations, it was handling trial and prosecution. So you look at all that kind of state. There's nothing like smelling rule of law in that.
So
that's rule by law.
You have mentioned about the court martial, and recently in the case of Kawaziguruka, the former MP of Nakawa division, the court ruled that civilians should not be tried in the military courts. But currently we see what's going on in Parliament. They are trying to now to amend and bring back the military court again. What is your take on that?
My take on that is that you see, there is a saying that if people have refused to call you grandchildren, then you just have ripe yellow bananas. They will say, because the saying is very clear, whoever has yellow bananas that are ripe will always be called a grandparent. Now, the issue is that by all means, the state is doing their best to say that we can prove here that we have a point of control. By force, we shall rule you by force in contrary to the law, and we want the general court martial to be in existence. But the settings are actually illegal. The decision in Kawaziguruka's case was very much clear, that civilians should be tried in civil courts. These ones are saying they want the act to be amended and create room for trial of civilians.
So what about
now that means you do not have trust in your own judiciary, you do not have trust in the judges around, and it means we should actually say the organ of judiciary shouldn't be considered, because what they are doing is totally abuse of natural justice, abuse of rule of law and human rights.
What about the civilians that are caught with military attires? Should they also be tried in the civilian court where they have attires like guns, maybe wearings of the army?
Judge, I told you, natural justice is that something that is natural. You see, even God knew Adam had already eaten the fruit, but he didn't say, Adam, why did you eat the forbidden fruit? He asked Adam, Adam, where are you? And it was a procedure. Adam confessed and said, we are naked. He didn't ask Cain, why did you kill Abel? He asked Cain, where is your brother? It was his response, am I in charge of keeping? So what I mean is that entirely these people are entitled to a fair hearing. A gun could have just been placed in my home. We have had such scenarios. I saw it from my parents. A gun is just picked and it is put in your bag there, George. By the time you're subjected to the general court martial, it is a terrible thing, the way they treat them, their arrests, the prisons they sleep in. I have had an interaction with a person they once arrested. They arrest you underground, not like these prisons we have. That although the torture subjected to you is like you are an army officer, you're not subjected to that training. You're entitled to your rights as a civilian. There should be a disciplinary committee, like when we say that at the district they have a disciplinary committee. That maybe a sugar industry has got a disciplinary committee within. If people do not abide to their code of conduct, there is that. Public service people have a code of conduct. They are subject to a disciplinary committee once they go contrary to the Uganda Public Service Standing Orders. So you cannot say, I want to go like that. It would have been maybe it's like saying, when I find someone with an injection in their pocket or gadgets of the hospital, I should tell them, the doctors, to be tried. Yet they stole these things. The issue is, I should drag them to courts of law. They can as well bring soldiers as witnesses to testify on how maybe these weapons are used, how they got lost. That would be the scenario, but not saying you take the accused who even still has the right of presumption of innocence to that psychological torture in the general court martial. By mere looking at the clauses, a person is terrified. I have had interaction and worked with refugee agencies. The issue is, whenever you're going to talk with refugees or interact with them, their colors, you are prohibited from dressing. You can't go to talk to a refugee and you're dressed in green color, army colors. You're already creating fear. These people have trauma. People have had trauma of wars ever since 1962. We got our independence under a man, under the NRA government, all that. So you're already instilling trauma to them by looking at them. You want them to admit offenses, and they have that trauma already. Most people normally conclude when he's taken in their army, our relative is dead. So there is no justice into that kind of circumstance. But we are going to challenge it. We are going to do our best, find all means of law, and find that we challenge the ongoing discussion against this bill. We are going to do the best as activists, and we do urge fellow activists to join us in this cause. There is a saying that a person who dies running will never be underestimated by their legs. We have to do our best, and trust me, God will always come in, because Psalms 103 verse 6 is very clear. God judges in favor of the oppressed. God is not happy with injustices, and this can be brought to an end.
I know that you are going to challenge it because there's a trending video, and I think we are there as African Justice Media when they arrested you two years ago at Parliament, trying to show your dissatisfaction. So I don't know where you get the brevity. How sure are you that nothing will happen to you when they arrest you? You know what is going on in Uganda, and so many cases keep coming back.
Yeah, George, I know what you're talking about.
As we conclude, yeah, the final
there is one thing I have to say.
The final remark.
This goes to everyone in regards to that question. That it is much better to die fighting for your freedom than living without your freedom. Because this is something inborn. God himself has not set conclusions on people. He wants them to decide between what is a sin and what is righteous. So whoever does not participate in the demand of their rights, I can just say they are living but dead. This is something you should stand for. And this is something God is not happy with. Our motto is for God and my country. It means God is always there. If you're there in the cause of doing injustice and you're a champion of injustice, trust me, your lineage, your descendants will always suffer the same. There is no way you can ever escape the wounds you have inserted on people. These things will happen to your grand. But whenever you stand for what is right, in the end it is granted to you. I can say, I'm giving you the last verse as I conclude. 2 Samuel chapter 9. In it, King David, after getting the throne, he asked, isn't there anyone in the kingdom, in the family of Saul, related to Jonathan, that I can show kindness to Jonathan? Jonathan was always advocating for justice. No matter how much King Saul attacked or threatened, tried to kill King David, Jonathan always stood for justice in the people and for safety of David. And to the surprise and God willing, among the people who were discovered in the family of King Saul was the son of King Jonathan. God is loving, and how he extends up to your descendants. The works you do today to share to the public against the injustice. You may not feel the harvest now, but trust me, your lineage, your soul will be okay. They will harvest, they will reap from your struggles of sharing against the injustice and fighting against the injustice. Thank you so much.
Thank you
to
for
our
sharing
beloved
your
viewers and
perspective.
everyone. Thank you so much.
All right, to our viewers, that was Katushabe Ronald, politician who is an activist and a lawyer, an advocate of the High Court. I hope you use this information, because information is power, and that comment section is very important if you want us to engage more on these matters, or if you want us to bring him back, you can always comment and tell us which issue do you want him to talk about. Ronald, thank you for sharing the legal knowledge with our viewers, because as Justice Media, we always want to make sure that we put out the expertise of everything that we see in Uganda. Thank you very much for watching this. Share this video with everyone, and let's make sure that we grow a generation of young people who are aware of what to do, and of course who are ready to act to develop Africa as a continent. Thank you, and I remain George Justice Kanyehamba, your host. See you soon.